All right, guys. I had to set up the recording. Again, thanks, Scott, for reminding me here. Yeah, we like to take these recordings, put them on YouTube afterwards, and you guys can kind of slow it down if I'm talking too fast and take a look at it. As with all of our webinars, we're going to start off here with the disclaimer. This demonstration is designed to instruct you on using MetaStock and accompanying software plugins, and is not a recommendation to buy or sell, but rather guidelines to interpreting and using the specific indicators and features within the software. The information, software, and techniques presented today should only be used by investors who are aware of the risk inherent in trading. MetaStock shall have no liability for any investment decisions based on the use of their software, any trading strategies, or any information provided in connection with the company. Now that we got the legal stuff out of the way, let's go ahead and pull up the new MetaStock 14. Guys, I'm excited about MetaStock 14. We have made some very, very good updates. And feel free throughout this presentation to type in questions if you have any. Most of the questions should be held a little bit more towards the end, because I am going to be covering quite a few things, but if you see something you want me to touch on real quick, definitely let me know. Okay, Dave, that's a great question, and you know, you're going to see kind of an outline throughout this presentation that's going to show you really kind of the ins and outs of MetaStock. I am going to try to kind of pay a little bit more attention as to the new features in MetaStock versus the older versions. However, you will be going through a workflow with me today, and you know, after this conversation, after this presentation rather, be more than happy to spend some time on the phone with you and kind of see what you're looking to accomplish, and if MetaStock 14 is good for you. Now, first off, when we open up MetaStock 14, one of the most exciting things here, and the things that our clients were asking for, is the redesigned Power Console. Now, the Power Console used to be one size only, but now it is actually resizable. Resizable Power Console, kind of a big deal. So you can actually make this take up the entire window, or you can minimize it, or you can actually customize the size of that. Now, MetaStock as a whole, what we try to do is provide a set of tools, essentially be a toolbox for an investor to be able to utilize and get into a workflow very, very easily. Now, with technical analysis, the idea is to find a system that's working, be able to search through many instruments to find a specific indicator, or rather events that are happening, and be able to backtest your system, etc. But you want to be able to do that in as short a period of time as humanly possible. So with MetaStock, what we really try to concentrate on here is being able to get into a workflow very, very quickly. Now, if I sound a little sick, it's just because I'm getting over a cold, so I apologize for that, guys. If you need me to repeat anything, just let me know. Now, the Power Console, what we did is in MetaStock 12 and 13, we released the Power Console. It was a wonderful step forward in that we were able to organize all of the tools and help you get into a workflow very, very easily. What we wanted to do with 14 is actually take that one step further. So what we've been able to do is organize the Power Console to where now everything is just one click away. Now, if you're wanting to open up a chart, I'm going to come in here, and obviously on the left side, for those of you who have not used MetaStock before, on the left side here, these are all your power tools. Let's start off with the basic charting tool. So what we're going to do, we call this a caret, this little triangle. Let's actually blow this up full screen like we can do now. This little triangle here we call a caret, and if we click on that, it's going to bring down another list. Now we can have you know, our custom lists, etc. So if we have specific favorites list or watch list that we've created as traders, which obviously, I use a whole heck of a lot. I will have all of those lists here. We can expand, for example, I've been watching just a couple of ETFs, the Dow and the S&P 500. I can expand that. Now, by clicking on any one of these boxes, I can automatically select everything within that category. So if I want all of my custom online data list, I can select that. Or I could just select, let's say this was typed favorites list. I can select all of the instruments there within that favorites list. Now, at the top, next to instruments, it's actually going to show you how many instruments you selected. Let's see, Arnaud, sometimes I try to kind of whiz through stuff, but I can be a little bit long-winded, so I'm probably looking at about a 45-minute to an hour-long webinar. Again, this is being recorded, so this will go up on YouTube within a day or two, and you can always call in, and we can shoot you the link to the recording. Now, with these lists, we can customize these lists. Of course, we can customize exactly what we're seeing. So if I click on public online data list, I can actually go in and, primarily I just focus on North and South America, futures, etc. So I go in here and I can customize exactly what I'm seeing, so I don't see the entire world of data if I don't pay attention to the entire world of data. Now, also in this, one big thing that we expanded on is the instrument search, which is a very, very big thing, because when you're trying to look up an instrument and you're not quite sure what exchange it's traded on or what the RIC is for it, you can go into instrument search. Now, in 13 and 12, I don't want to say that the search was limited, but it was a little bit, I would say it was a little bit clunky to navigate. What we've done is actually just go in and redesign the entire search function. Arnaud, we're only actually a couple of minutes into this, so you did not miss much at all. We just started about 5 minutes ago. Now, with the new expanded search, what we've been able to do is create a little bit more of an intuitive search function, whereas before it was a little bit limited. So let's say that I know the name of an instrument, but I don't know the RIC for it. So let's say I'm looking for Microsoft. So I type in Microsoft, and as you guys can see, this is actually updating as I type with all of the instruments that start with, at this point, micro. So let's go to Microsoft. Now, Microsoft, once I type it in, it comes up with 2 results here that I can choose from. It's traded on 2 different exchanges. And obviously, where I'm at, typically I just use msoft.o. Now, let's say I don't know what it started with or ended with. I can change this function here. So Microsoft is, so the instrument that I'm looking for contains Microsoft, or I can, let's say that I know that the instrument name ended in soft. I can say it ends with soft, and we're still going to have, we're going to have a few different things here. So we can essentially play with our search options a little bit easier here and really narrow it down. So let's say contains, let's go starts with. So what I have here is a list of all of the instruments, all of the Microsoft instruments. Now, we can do the same thing with symbol. So let's say that I can't remember how Microsoft ended, but I know that it starts with MSF. It's going to go ahead and give me all of the instruments that start with MSF, or I can change it to all the instruments that end with it or contain it, etc. So as you guys can see, the search function is really, really intuitive now, and you actually have the ability to go through and see the entire name of these instruments, etc. So it makes stuff a lot easier to find. I was really excited with the new searches. Now, normally we'll just go through and open a chart. One thing on the Power Console, though, that I definitely want to touch bases on is we've actually changed the layout of the power tools themselves. So now you only have to do one click when starting an exploration instead of going through multiple screens. So what this has done, what we've changed it to, is kind of I want to say a multi-pane window system, where if we're running an exploration, this is actually a list of all of the explorations. And MetaStock comes with, it's a little over 100 right off the bat. And then, of course, if you have add-ons, etc., or if you've built your own explorations, you'll actually have that in this list. Now, this is a complete list of all of the explorations that we can run. And then down here, we actually have our instrument list. So let's say that I wanted to run an exploration for, let's take a look here. Let's do the MACD cross up, okay? So if I want to take a look at the MACD cross up, I want to do a exploration for that. I'm going to select the MACD cross up. And I am going to come down here to my public instruments. Let's take a look at index constituents, and I want to search across the S&P 500. Now I can have multiple selections here, and it'll show me at the top. So if I wanted to do the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100, I can select both of those. So let's go ahead and do that, and I'll show you here. So at the top of the instrument screen, we're showing 609 because we're doing the 500 and the NASDAQ 100. So 609 instruments are going to be searched. Now we still have our records to load screen right here, daily interval. Now the cool thing that we've added here that I really like is the summary screen. So if we click on summary right here, and this is typically what I'm going to do before I actually start an exploration, is I'm going to take a look at the summary screen, because what this is going to do is, first off, it's going to give me a breakdown of exactly what I'm doing. So I'm loading minimum records. I'm doing a daily exploration. It's going to notify me when it's ready. I can change my field that I'm looking for. Now here is the selected explorations. Now, there's only one listed here, but a lot of times as a trader, what I want to do, if I'm searching across, 5 or 6 or 100 or 1,000 instruments, it's going to pop up with 20, 30 results, especially if I'm doing a general exploration like the MACD. I'm going to have 60, 70, 80 results that pop up. So let's say that I want to search for a couple of things here. I want to do a MACD exploration. Let's actually do the MACD expert system. We're actually MACD buy signal, because that's a real general search. And then I want something specific out of it. I want a 5-day, let's do 5-day high volume price. So that's something real specific. So what I want to do is I want to be able to start off with a little bit of a more general search, like a MACD buy signal that's going to give me a lot of hits off 600 instruments. But then I want to take the results from that search and I want to do another search on it for a 5-day high volume price. What I can do is come over here to the summary screen and notice that your selected explorations has updated to 2. Now I can change the order here by clicking on the MACD buy signal, and I'm going to go ahead and move that up. So it's going to search for this first, and then it's going to take the results. So if I am looking on this screen, use the results from the preceding exploration, which means it is going to take everything that dripped down from the first one and put it into the next exploration. So what I'll do here is click on my summary again. So what this states is that it is going to run the MACD buy signal first, and then whatever does not get filtered out through there is going to run through the 5-day high volume price. Now at the bottom here, and I can do this, keep in mind I can do this with quite a few different explorations if you're real specific on what you're looking for. Now these are all the selected instruments. There's 600 and I think we said 609 there. So we can go ahead and start the exploration straight from that screen. Now I'm not going to do that yet because I want to show you the system tester. Now the system tester is actually, so what we did is we took the entire second screen of the system tester for those of you that are familiar with previous versions of MetaStock, and we put it all on one screen. So it's laid out very, very similar to the exploration screen. So let's say that I have, I ran an exploration, and I now want to do a system test on that exploration. So I have all of my system tests right here. In demonstrations, I use the MACD a whole heck of a lot. So I'm going to select the MACD expert system. I can select multiple system tests from this screen as well. So all of your system tests, ones that come within MetaStock right off the bat, to add-ons that you've purchased that have the system tests within it, to system tests that you've created on your own, all of those will be listed here in this top window pane. Now your instrument screen, as always, is going to be at the bottom here. One thing that I like to point out though is if you just hover your mouse, and this actually works for the exploration tab as well, but if you just hover your mouse over any of the given system test, it's going to give you a short explanation as to what it's actually doing, and that is a new feature here in MetaStock 14. So this system backtest for buy and sell signals when the MACD goes above or below its trigger line, which is a 9-period exponential moving average of the MACD. It will also use an oversold and overbought condition for the entry, exit, etc. So it's actually giving you a pretty in-depth breakdown of exactly what that system test is looking for. Now I can go back into the exploration and I can look at the same thing for my explorations. It's going to pop out this little window just by hovering my mouse over it. So let's go back to the system test here. At a MACD system test. Now the cool thing, just like in 13, is it's actually going to save the results of my last exploration. So if I ran an exploration, earlier today or just a couple of moments ago, all these results are going to be saved, and I can choose all of those results just by clicking on this big box. Or if I want to expand on that a little bit, I can actually go in here and select or deselect instruments straight from here. So I can just select overall the explorations. Now, your second screen in MetaStock 12 and 13 for your system tester was going into a little bit more depth as to what all you want to arrange basically the settings of your system test. We can actually do that in 14 right on this side screen. So we have our option for long and short trades, or we can do both. We're choosing the range or the amount of records that we want to load, or a date range. We're changing our periodicity with this screen as well. Now the trade options is going to pop out into a little window here as far as when, looking back at previous versions of MetaStock, when we wanted to really get in depth with our system test, we can come in here and change the amount of starting equity that we have. So how much money you have in your account, what essentially your risk is per trade, whether you're doing a number of units or transaction cost or a percentage of your available equity. You can change all of those things here. Getting a little bit more in depth, we can specify all of our broker fees. We can adjust for interest rates, margin requirements, change if your brokerage charges points per unit or percent off the transaction. And our trade execution, we can adjust for slippage, etc. right here. So we can hit OK, change all of our trade options there, and we can start our system test like normal, straight from here. Now, those are the major changes within the Power Console. Now, let's go back here and open up a basic chart, because I want to show you some of the things, one of the expert systems that we've added into MetaStock. And this is something that we're really excited about. It's a gentleman, some of you may know him or remember him, Logan Connors. He actually created a system, an expert system. It took him a very, very long time, that we have put in with MetaStock. Now, initially the feedback that I've gotten from talking to our clients and some of you guys about this system is that it's something that is so robust that it's almost like an add-on that we would normally charge $300 to $400 for. It's that extensive. It has that much to it. But I want to take a look here, and I want to just kind of show you, give you a little glimpse into the LCI system. We're very, very excited about this. Now, let's say I want to open up Microsoft from an instrument search. I can select it, or I already know the rig for it, so I just type it in here. All of your chart options are now on the right side, so your maximum records to load, or if we're doing it from an exchange date, so if we want to load the last year of data, we can specify that right here. For right now, I'm just going to load default records, which is 250. I can change that if I wanted to just by going there. We're going to stick with a day chart. Now, the LCI, the system itself, it comes with a couple of templates. It comes with also, we have an expert advisor for it. We have, let's take a look at the explorations that we have for the LCI. Now, keep in mind, everything I'm showing you comes with MetaStock 14. These are not add-ons that we charge for or anything like that. So the LCI, I'm just going to scroll down here. Okay, so we actually have 4 scans for it. So the bearish bounce signal, the breakout signals, the bullish bounce signals, as well as the Fibonacci retracements. And we also have the system test. We have 4 system tests for it too. So right off the bat, guys, we have 4 explorations, we have system tests, we also have a few templates that we can apply. But let's take a look at a chart of the LCI real quick. So I'm going to go ahead and open up a template. I'm going to apply a template straight from this screen. So we're just going to do the LCI main, which is the basic template that he uses. He also has a Fibonacci. He also has another template here. Now, I'm not going to get too in-depth with the LCI system. He actually did a webinar not too long ago that you can find on our YouTube page. If you just go to youtube.com/MetaStock, and in the channel search button, you can just type in LCI. He has an hour and 20-minute webinar on it that you can take a look at it. And this is where he's really going to break down the ins and outs of his system. Now, with the LCI, right off the bat, it's kind of, in all honesty, it's definitely a busy chart right off the bat. One thing that we can do that I like to view is the expert commentary. That actually popped into a different screen for me, so let me put it over here. So what we're going to do, let me just resize this. I actually, because I have this running on a second screen, it throws it into kind of a, I have to resize it basically into a different screen so that it doesn't automatically dock. Okay, so his expert commentary, this system as a whole, we're actually very, very excited about this system due to the fact that it has so many facets, it has so many angles. It looks at support and resistance lines, major lines, as well as secondary support and resistance lines. It looks at Fibonacci retracement levels, and it plots those right on the chart, as you can see here. It comes with a scoring system, and I'll show you that here in an exploration here in just a second. It comes with all of our buy and sell signals, but also it even has integrated within it, it has the stop losses pre-calculated into it. Now what we're looking at here is a chart of Microsoft, and what it is saying in the expert commentary, and Logan was very, very good at creating a system that will really walk you through step by step as to what you should be doing with the parameters of your trade. So we're taking a look here on the last signal that it generated, and visually this system is very, very appealing, and what it does is it walks you through a step by step. Your scoring system is right here, and the explanation of the scoring system can be seen in that webinar. We have the indicator analytical breakdown, so we have his %R, we have the volatility is currently high, and volume price trend is bearish. So it's really breaking down every aspect of this trade. The trailing stop is, let's see here, BB, how I do it, there's a couple of ways that you can open the commentary window. The first of which, you can right click anywhere on the chart. You go to Expert Advisor, great question by the way. Scroll down to Expert Advisor, and you can select commentary from here, or the other way that I can do it is I can go up to View, click on View, and just select expert commentary, and it's going to pop up this dialog box right here. So that his commentary is actually something that I really like a lot, because it is a very, very inclusive system, and it looks at cycles, support and resistance, Fibonacci's, trends, volume. He believes a lot in volume. So having an expert advisor, having a commentary is really, really crucial. And this system is actually going to end up being one of our most well-supported systems as far as videos, educational tutorials, etc. So that's why we're excited about it. But plus, I mean, I just love the commentary on it because it is so extensive and it outlines exactly what you need to do. Now, we were looking at the trailing stops. Now, the trailing stops here, you're actually going to see these little dots on the screen. I hope you guys can see that okay. These trailing stops are going to show me exactly what I need to do as far as my trade parameters and what I should set my trailing stops at. So when we're dark blue here, that means that we're using a standard trailing stop. Okay. Now this lighter blue color, kind of turquoise color, this represents when we need to be using a tighter stop. So right here, as we start moving a little bit more sideways here, at the end we can tell that we're using a tighter stop because the instrument, essentially prices are kind of compressing, and we're going to get to a point where we're either going to break out one way or another. So this would have had me in the trade right here and starting to use the tight stop, and if I had used the tight stop, I would have been out really right here 2 days before it really started going down. So I would have profited off of this movement right here, and the trailing stop would have told me to use a tight stop. Let's take a look at that bar actually. See right here, if we click over that bar, it's going to show me that I need to set my adaptive stop loss at 43.31. The current volatility, I should be using a tight stop. Okay, so also if we look down here, we have our volume bar, and essentially what we're looking for here is this movement. We have three lines here that kind of identify what range of volume that we're looking at. We're looking at kind of a moving average of the volume right here. So if we break out like we did here on the 26th, 27th, we're looking at a lot of what Logan refers to as the kind of a big hitter movement. In other words, a lot of the institutional traders are moving this instrument, and that's why we're seeing a high volume. And that's when we look for big reversals. So there's a lot to this. I want to actually go through here real quick because I definitely want to spend some time on the forecaster, because we did some great stuff with the forecaster tool. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of this chart. I'm going to run an exploration though real quick with the LCI, just to kind of show you what we're looking at here. Now keep in mind, with these boxes that you see at the very, very top, the initial category, we can select all from just clicking it. We can unselect all from just clicking it. So keep that in mind for those of you who are upgrading or just using the new MetaStock 14. Now if I want to search for breakout LCI breakouts signals, I can just select the breakout signals, and I can search across. Let's see. Let's leave it at the S&P 500. Let's do a quick search on that. We're going to do a summary. Take a look at our summary screen here. We're going to look at minimum records. We're actually, I'm going to go ahead and do 250 records, which is basically one trading year. So let's do our LCI breakout signals, and this is a list of all 500 instruments. Let's run an exploration on that. Now, when you run an exploration, what this is going to do is actually give us kind of a status as to where we're at. It pops up this box. For those of you who are new to MetaStock, it's going to show us exactly where we're at in this search. So we're already right around almost halfway done with it. And it's showing us what percentage is rejected. So we are getting a few that are slipping through. So it doesn't look like we're going to have too many results with it, which is fine. I just kind of wanted to show you guys one of his searches. So he has two types of searches. One, he actually has a scoring system based off of cycles, support and resistance, and Fibonacci retracements that he has. And we'll take a look at that here in just a second. But what this is going to do is it's going to filter through and give us a breakdown. So let's take a look at the whole thing. So we can actually sort whether or not we generated a bullish signal or a bearish signal. We can also sort by the scoring. I'm slurring my words a little bit. Apparently I need some more coffee today. His scoring system is really amazing. I love it because going through, if I'm doing an exploration and I return 20 different instruments and I want to sort by the scoring, I can do that with 2 clicks. So this is a good example of his scoring method. We can do the same thing with his Fibonacci retracement. Now the Fibonacci retracement, I actually use this a whole heck of a lot when I'm doing explorations, because I definitely look for those trend reversals. Now while this is running, give me just 1 second. All right, just wanted to wet my whistle here real quick. So this is finishing up. It'll be done here in just a few seconds. We'll go ahead and take a look at another example of one of his explorations. Again, his scoring system is you know, it's the way that it's set up with the Fibonacci retracement. It's based primarily off of his scoring system. So this took all of the instruments, and it's basically showing you the close, the volume, and whether or not the scoring is closer to a bullish or closer to a bearish. You know, Zion's is going to give us a huge bearish signal right here. We can also look at the Fibonacci majors or minors. And guys, there is, Donna, you want to see a chart here. So let's take a look at, we'll open up a chart of, what were we looking at? Zion's Bank Corp. So we'll go ahead and open a chart. Since we're doing this within the LCI Exploration, it's automatically going to open us up into the LCI Expert System chart. So what we're doing here is we're looking at this movement. Initially, this movement we're looking at, and if we actually hover over the signal, it's going to show us what that signal is showing. So we're looking at a bullish breakout, which would have gotten us in right here. Our trailing stop hasn't gotten us out, but we are using at this point. So we're going to go through and take a look at the commentary. So bearish, we're looking at a big bearish movement right here. And we're going to see over the next couple of days exactly what Zion's is going to do. But if we go down here, if we were long in this trade, we're using a very tight stop loss for our trailing stop, and the LCI actually walks us through that step by step. So as you can see, we have the kind of turquoise indicator right here, and if we scroll down to the expert commentary, what it does is it shows us that we should be using a tight trailing stop. Now again, for a really in-depth look at the LCI, I recommend you guys go to our YouTube channel and take a look at his webinar. It's a little over an hour long, but it's definitely well worth it. He walks you through step by step. One thing that I want to spend some time on, though, is our forecaster tool. Now, we've changed a few things within MetaStock. I would say the expert system is you know, the LCI expert system is wonderful. It's very, very robust. The power console we've changed to be a little bit more streamlined. The forecaster tool, however, I'm really, really excited about this because our forecaster tool, how many of you use the forecaster? Do any of you guys really actively use the forecaster? If you do, just put a Y in the old chat box. I'm going to open up a forecast here. Let's stick with Microsoft. David, do you use it? Wonderful. I love using the forecaster, you know, and I don't think, in all honesty, I don't think it's used enough. I may be a little bit biased, though. Now, this might pop open into a different screen, so I might have to switch it over here. We'll see what screen it opens in. Now, the forecaster, for those of you who don't know what the forecaster tool is, basically, in short, what it does is it shows you the statistical likelihood of an instrument's movement or reaction to a major technical event. Now, before MetaStock 14, we had over 50 major technical events that it recognized. Now, we added in four or six, I believe it was 4 brand new technical events. But that's not what I'm really excited about. What I'm really excited about here, I'm going to show you here in just a second, but just to make sure everybody's caught up to speed as to what the forecast what the forecaster does. What we're looking at here is essentially major events on Microsoft. So all of these yellow indicators here show a major technical event. Now the major technical event that we're taking a look at right now is a 52-week high. And keep in mind, again, we have over 50 major technical events that that the forecaster recognized. Martin, wonderful question. Yes, the forecaster is definitely available within the end of day version. So all of you that have an older version of MetaStock end of day, or all of you that are looking to get MetaStock end of day, you will have access to all of the tools and features that I'm showing you right now. Now what we're looking at here is the Microsoft events. Now one thing that has changed that's made it a lot easier to go through the forecaster is I can actually change what essentially how it ranks these major technical events. Now before it was done, I believe it was done alphabetically. Now we actually have multiple criteria that we can sort our technical events by. Now one is the highest profit potential. Another one, and that is for long and short. We have highest profit potential long only or short only. We have most accurate current forecast, which obviously a lot of you are going to be taking a look at because we want to see the most accurate forecast cloud. We have most pronounced current breakout. We have distinct forecast cloud, which I actually like to use a whole heck of a lot just to kind of take a look at major breakouts and how it's responded. A lot of times you're going to see, well, let's just take a look at it. We're going to take a look at the forecast cloud. This is a really, really distinct forecast cloud because out 60 days on a MACD positive divergence, it has a real high probability to be within this range. That's really far out, guys. We're looking at 2 months to 90 to 3 months basically into the future as to the probability of the instrument's movement 60, 90 days out. Now, what we're looking at is essentially, let's go back to 52-week high forecast cloud. Now, the forecast cloud, in short, for those of you who are still kind of on the fence as to understanding how the forecast cloud works, or for those guys that are saying, Hunter, I've never even seen this before in my life. What we're looking at is basically a heat cloud. Now, the colors, just like on a normal heat cloud, go from a very hot color of a high probability down to the darker colors, which have a lower probability. Now, where we see specifically in this instrument, we're looking at Microsoft, is we have a pretty high probability that after a 52-week high, which as you can see, we could take a look at the different forecast clouds based off of the different technical events that are recognized here. But after a 52-week high specifically, it does have a tendency about 2 months later, based off of the previous events, to go up around 5%. Now, this is very, very useful. There's a few ways. Now, I'm never going to base my final decision on a trade just off of the forecast cloud. There is no crystal ball in technical analysis. If there was, everybody would be using it. But when it comes down to technical analysis, this is pretty much as close as it gets. And the way that I typically use it, and that I find most of our successful clients using this tool, is to help establish trade parameters. Once you place a trade, you become a money manager. You become a risk manager, as they say. What the forecast tool allows me to do is manage my trade and set trade parameters before I even place it. So I can take a look at this, and if I'm looking at a long position on Microsoft, I could take a look and say, well, you know, if we start dipping below this forecast cloud, that shows me that there's going to be a lot of volatility. And and I should probably get out. So I want to set my stop loss right around this area. But if I hit 60 days and I start moving up here, my target is to be around this range, around 5% to 8% profit, price moving up after 60 days. But it's going to start dipping down most likely into 90 days. So probably my target range for this trade is about 60 days out. My stop loss should be right around the breaking even point after 60 days. If I'm still breaking even, if I'm pretty flat after 60 days, I'm probably going to get out of this trade. So what this does is it's showing me price over time, which for options guys, you know, as an options trader, that's what it is all about, is price over time. So I want to see the direction of movement, the tendency of movement of this instrument over time. The really cool thing, and I'm excited to get into this now, is we have the ability to actually draw patterns now. Josh, hey, welcome to the room. I'm glad you're here. I did see you in here earlier. Yes, this video will be in, and I know I'm running into the 45-minute range. I'm going to keep going here with the drawing tool, but the entire video will be up on YouTube. And shoot me an email. I know you have my email, and I'll get this recording out to you. No worries, Josh. So looking at the at the event recognizer, guys, we now have the ability to do two things. We have the ability to take a look at our patterns, but we can actually draw patterns. So if we go over here to the event recognizer library, we can actually click on draw pattern. And what this is going to do is it's going to open up a whole new window in which we can define the pattern that we're looking for. So let's give our pattern a new name. So I am going to look for a V shape. I can quantify what the V shape means to me. Up or down. So I can edit all of this. Now let's draw a V shape. So what this does is it actually allows me to draw this V shape. Now what this is going to do is it's going to actually give these little waypoints, these little circles. Understand that these circles can be changed. You know, so if I'm looking for this movement, really good. You know, this is just a basic reversal pattern. Now I can actually draw this pattern, change it. I can do shape only. Now I'll walk you through what shape only and shape and location means. So with shape only, what I'm looking for specifically is just this pattern. Now I can actually, if I click on pattern quick test here, this is the actual chart of Microsoft that we're looking at right now. And if I had a couple of other ones open, I could go through that. So the red is the actual Microsoft chart. I can go through here and see kind of, you know, basically if the pattern that I drew, so the green is the pattern that I just drew, I can see if it's matching the pattern at all. But I'm only looking for the shape. Now, if you guys take a look at here, if you're looking for a specified pattern, it will actually show you the similarity percentage right here. Got a couple of questions. Right now, BB, only daily. We are working towards intraday. That's going to be very short. But when the forecaster came out, it was so revolutionary that we wanted to not bring everything out at once. We wanted to be able to really take our time with the forecaster tool and develop it slowly, but as a solid tool step by step. So the intraday will be coming down the road here shortly, but for right now, it is just for daily patterns. Great question. So we can actually change it to shape and location. Now, if we're looking for shape and location, I'm going to select all of these bars, and what it means is I can actually look for a section of the price. So notice down here, if I'm looking at my pattern quick test, Josh, no, it cannot. Not yet. Looking into that as well. Great question. So no, we cannot not print the forecast cloud. So looking at this, if we select shape and location, this is going to look at the match versus the actual location on the chart. So I can look at just the pattern, or I can look at, hey, I want a V-shape at the top or bottom of the search. And you guys can see kind of what I'm looking at here. Notice as I scroll back in time on this, and this might be actually a good example. That's not too great. As I scroll back in time, the green line, which is my drawn pattern, does not change places. That's because I have shape and location changed. Now I can change my approximate bars. I can change the sensitivity. The sensitivity is basically looking at, okay, how close of a match are we looking at? Typically, I'll keep it on medium. You can go to low if you want. High, you're going to get you know, a few results, but it's looking for an exact pattern match, basically, at high. So I'm going to keep it right around medium, and I can change my forecast day all the way out to 30 or 90 days. Now, another few things that I can do with this pattern, I can select all right here and just drag it into the middle. I can actually invert the pattern. I can also reverse it. Okay, so little things you can do here. But if I go ahead and save this pattern, I'm going to go back to my forecast. And what I need to do when I make a new pattern is I need to rescan. And what this is going to do is look for all of those patterns, including the one that I just drew. So we actually ranked highest profit potential. We're right here. So V-shape. This, now guys, this is really cool because this is the actual pattern that I just drew. So we can actually take a look back in time, and these yellow markers are every time our V-shaped pattern that we just created occurred. Now, when you hover over the event, it's going to give you the pattern match confidence. That basically is saying, hey, this movement in the instrument is about a 75% match to what you just drew. Now we can take a look at the forecast cloud based off of that. And if we do that, we can see that based off of our V-shaped reaction, we can actually take a look at the movement after a V-shape. Now we can take a look at, let's see here, highest potential V-shape here. So we're looking at the same forecast cloud. So, you know, looking at this, I mean, we have a really, really important tool in that we're able to go through and draw this pattern. We can change with those waypoints, those little circles, and search for a pattern. But let's say that I wanted to get specific. I don't want to draw a pattern, but I'm looking for a V-shaped pattern. And I say, okay, well, let's see. I see a specific, let's make this a little bit bigger here. I see a specific pattern that I'm looking for in the chart. Let's look for this reversal pattern right here. I can actually click on UserDefined Patterns, select right here, and I can select a pattern within the chart that I'm looking for. Now, it has to be at least 3 bars long, and I want to select this pattern right here. All I have to do is drag over this pattern. It asks me if I want to capture it. I'm going to go ahead and say yes. Now, once I hit yes, it is going to bring me back. Let's just do selected pattern. It is going to bring me back, and it's actually going to add those waypoints in for me. So this is the pattern that I just selected. So again, we could do pattern quick test. This was a little further back. Here we go. This is the pattern that we actually selected. As we can see, it's a 100% match, of course, because we selected that pattern. And we can go back in time and, you know, kind of take a look at the similarity as to how many times this has occurred. Again, we can do shape only, shape and location. But let's go, and we can, you know, also look at inverting the pattern, etc. Don, can you draw an indicator along the price? So you're looking to actually hand draw, is that what you're asking? Hand draw a pattern alongside the price? Let's take a look here. Not as of right now, GW. One of the things, and you know, I was kind of telling you guys a little bit earlier that the Forecaster tool is so new. No one else has it. We're taking it step by step. The intraday is something that we're looking at here shortly, as well as being able to take these patterns and be actually able to create indicators out of them, etc. That all is what we're moving towards here in the future. Also understand that a visual pattern is difficult to quantify mathematically, so it is a little bit of a process here. But taking a look at, you know, if we go back and take a look at the pattern that we just selected, I want to rescan after I have saved my pattern. I'm going to rescan. While it rescans, BB, no, I think I know what you're asking for. BB, the pattern that it looks for is actually a visual pattern, so it's not going to show you in specifically the candlestick bars. It's going to be a line pattern that it looks for, so that you can actually change the accuracy and basically the accuracy of the pattern that you're looking for. Because if I saved it, which I did here, let's take a look if we made the list. It was under selected pattern. Let's see, I'm just looking for, sometimes, you know, it's an event that happens a whole heck of a lot. Sometimes the pattern that, you know, we selected, it doesn't quite happen. Let's just go ahead and take a look by name. Selected pattern, this is the one we did. So it's only happened a couple of times before. That's why it wasn't coming up into this recognized events under most profitable, etc. It's only happened a few times before. In fact, you can see exactly when it happened. It's only happened 5 times within the last 1,800 days. So we can take a look. I want to see the forecast cloud on this. So it's actually a pretty good forecast cloud after this happens, because we're getting this peak region over 60–70% that this instrument's going to go up 60 days after this event happens. So there's a lot of different ways to interpret the forecast cloud, but being able to define a pattern, you know, a basic reversal pattern or a continuation pattern that you're looking for, or select the patterns, is only going to help you in your analysis as far as you know, that confirmation signal that you're looking for, or the trade parameters that you're looking for. As of right now, Don, no, but again, that is something that we're looking for here in the future. Okay. Now, I think I've covered a whole heck of a lot here, guys. And again, this will be, it is recorded. It will be put up on YouTube. If you have questions, feel free to come in and ask our wonderful sales team. Feel free to shoot me an email. You know, also the rest of our sales team would be more than happy to answer any questions that you might have. If you guys currently have an older version of MetaStock, we are running some great promotions as far as upgrading you to MetaStock 14. If you do not have MetaStock, give us a call. We have some amazing deals on actual trials of MetaStock to where you can take a look at all these features and really get a good idea of how it's going to affect your workflow, etc. We're always here to help and answer questions. I'm going to stay around here for just another moment or two while you guys type in questions and try to answer those to the best of my knowledge. Also, after this presentation, feel free to give us a call, shoot us an email. We have a chat, metastock.com/sales chat. Let me put this, I'll put that address in the chat. You can follow that link in the chat, and actually one of our sales guys will be more than happy to walk you through and answer any questions there. Let's see. Pertab, I just want to read your question here. Oh, we actually have a great promotion. If you're coming from MetaStock 13 up to 14, what I would do is follow that link real quick, and we can kind of discuss the different options that you have. If you just click on that link real quick, come into sales chat and just ask, say, hey, I just got off the webinar with Hunter. He told me there's a promotion going on right now to upgrade. I'll make sure that they give you the best deal possible. Looks like some of you guys are typing in questions, so I'm just going to hang out here for another second. I hope that I was able to cover a lot in this, in this demonstration. Again, we're more than happy to walk you guys through. We have some of the best support in the business. Walk you through, showing you all of these different features of MetaStock. And again, everything that I showed you guys today, everyone that has MetaStock 14 will have access to it, whether it's end of day or real time. The Zenith platform does not have, so MetaStock Real-Time and MetaStock Zenith are two separate things. Zenith runs the real-time software, the data for it. So if you click on that link that I provided for you, metastock.com/sales chat, you can ask one of the account representatives as to how to get set up with the Power Console. Now guys, I'm going to wrap up here. If you have any other questions, feel free to shoot that or click on that link. Looks like a couple more of you are typing. And Donna, no problem. It was a pleasure presenting this webinar to you today. If you have any other questions, please feel free to let us know. And as always, guys, happy trading.